what I've seen in this industry is an unbelievably beautiful group of people who truly love the people that work for them, and they want to provide more, but they don't have the skills and the know-how to make it happen. And that's a really painful thing to live with as a leader. And leadership becomes incredibly lonely.
Yeah.
And the tools that I aim to build remove that. They help people align, and they help people create more for everybody who's at the table. And I just really want to help others avoid the pain and the struggles that I endured in that process. And that's why I do what I do.
All right, Mark, it's great to sit down with you.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me.
I want to talk software, and I guess today's an interesting week for you. Closing deals, starting new companies. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. Big week. The deal closed on the merger with Single Ops Wednesday last week, and we made the official announcement Monday this week. And alongside with that, I launched a new company called LeanScaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
So congratulations. So it's interesting, usually guys that sell their businesses take some time before they jump in and do something, and you wasted no time. So yesterday was the founding of LeanScaping. Is that what you call it?
LeanScaper.
LeanScaper. Okay. What's that going to be? What is this?
So think of a community where landscapers can join and just interact with others, but really the community leads into a mastermind program that is backed with a turnkey operating system that I built to develop everything I needed when I built my $50 million landscape company. So I had this top 100 landscape company that sort of forced me to build software, which became LMN. And as I left the landscape industry to focus on LMN, I really planned on building what will become LeanScaper, which is really all the systems that I needed to build that top 100 company, all bottled up in a mastermind program with software that will actually power the systems integration and really run the management operating system that I created to run my company.
And I want to delve a little bit deeper into that. Before I do that, though, let's take a stroll down memory lane. You were building a landscape business, and you needed software. So you decided, I'm going to build my own. And do you come from a software background?
No, not at all. I purely landscaping. So right out of high school, I joined a nuclear program as an apprenticeship intern, and I went through a 4-year internship. And as I kind of finished up that internship, I was finding the work a little bit uninspiring. I couldn't really find much purpose in the work. And I decided to go back to landscaping, which is what I had been doing throughout high school. So I was 23, started the landscape company. I did $1 million in my first year. So the business kind of took off. Mm-hmm. And I quickly realized how little I knew about business. I was very fortunate to have been raised by a tradesman. And I think I had the 10,000 hour rule on the trade side. So that was probably why I hit the $1 million so fast. I was good at doing the work, but I was horrible at running a business. And so as the bumps in the road got bigger and bigger, I always found myself seeking mentors. And I was really fortunate along the way. I found myself being mentored by my customers. I was doing luxury landscaping, and so I had some great customers, and they could see me struggling with the business, and many of them just kind of took me under their wing and helped me out that way. So as the business started to grow, I really started to realize that I needed technology to really automate a lot of the systems that I had been developing to drive efficiency and really cascade the goals that were so clear to me down throughout the company as I started to scale. And that was really why I decided to build software. And the key metric for me was estimated versus actual hours. I knew that if I could explain that clearly to my employees and they understood what the estimate allowed for, and they could track that in real time, they could kind of self-monitor, and that would be the leading indicator of success. And so I built software to enable my crews to work more autonomously with that key metric in their hand all the time. And that is what LMN sort of started out as.
So how long had you been building the landscape business before you decided to embark on software?
That was year 7. Okay. I decided to do that.
And was there nothing available off the shelf to you at the time?
No, keep in mind the devices were just coming to market. I was a little bit maybe fortunate in the sense that at the time I was doing a project for one of the the founder of BlackBerry, and I knew the devices were coming, knew what was coming to market, even had some beta devices, their original tablet and whatnot. And so I could sort of see what the future had in terms of devices, and I started to build just a simple web application that would allow us to manage all of the data that we were looking to manage. Prior to that, we were just using simple time tracking, which was offline time tracking that was managed by key tags at the time.
So you're running a landscape business. You had no idea how to do that, but you kind of learned on the job. You were mentored by some customers, and then you decided to get into software. And of course, you knew nothing about that. So I'm really interested. What were your first steps? Like how did you go about doing this?
I hired my co-founder. He was working for another software company. He came in actually to pitch me on software, but the software was not good. It was very old and out of date. But I could see that he understood what I was looking for, and so I offered him a job, and he joined me, and we're still together to this day. So he's always managed the technical side, and I've always kind of managed the strategy and the vision, and we've had a fabulous relationship. So I always say I'm a non-technical CEO.
So as you're simultaneously building the landscape business and you're building what would ultimately become LMN, correct?
Yeah.
And so how did you then allocate your time over the years? Were you focused on landscape, focused on software, split between the two?
Yeah, it was interesting. Building software made me a better landscaper. As I was building out all of the systems and processes for software,
you had to think about your business.
I had to think about it, yeah. And so it just started to almost force continuous improvement. And I had learned about lean back in the nuclear industry. And so I really put the lean principles in place into my landscape business. So I built a lean operating system for my landscape business. So as we were building LMN, I was building the data that would be needed to power a balanced scorecard, a lean balanced scorecard, so that I could look at each perspective of the business really accurately. And as I really focused on building the tools, it forced us to build more efficiency in the field. And so the business actually took off as a result. So I was putting about 80% of my time into landscape, 20% into software. But Mike Lysecki, my CTO and co-founder, was incredibly capable, could have been the CEO easily. So he was really running that company day to day as the landscape company scaled. And we went from 5 to 50 million in 10 years, alongside the growth of LMN. And eventually I decided to retire from landscaping and focus on LMN in 2018, after 21 years in the landscape business.
I'm curious, at what point did you believe that LMN was mature enough to commercialize it outside of use in your own business?
We actually decided to build for the entire market out of the gate. So we beta tested for a few years, but really 2010 we started selling LMN publicly, and that was really when it was fully ready for us as well. Up until that point, it was bits and pieces, I guess you could say. It was a web app that we were always testing and working with for the first 2 years, and then when it was completely built, we decided to start selling it right away in 2010. As I started building software, I had kind of the good fortune. I was doing a project for the CEO of Sony Canada at the time, and I was telling him what I was building, and he said, "You should find a way to make a little bit of money off of a lot of people with that." It was a gift. it kind of stuck with me. So we were just building for ourselves at the time, and that really started to resonate. And as the cost of building software started to really stack up, that little voice in my head kept reminding me to charge a little bit of money to a lot of people. So we decided to start selling it almost right away when it was finished. And so we built it in a way where it could run on any device just as a web application in 2010, because the app stores weren't out yet. And it started to sell really quickly.
And did you do all your development for that in Canada?
We did all of the development in Canada up until about 2014, and then we hired an offshore team in the Ukraine, and they're still working with us to this day. So we've had the same team for the past 10 years in the Ukraine, and they've been marvelous partners.
Okay. So you sold the landscape business, you focused on the software for a period of time, and then now you've recently closed this transaction. So why did you decide to do that?
I had private equity partners, and like all private equity partners, when the deal comes to fruition, they're ready to sell. Mm-hmm. And I had a choice to find another sponsor, or buy them out, or sell. And it was a hard decision for me. But my work is nowhere near done in the industry. The impact that I really want to truly have on the industry is just getting started. And so I felt that the exit was a great decision for me to really fuel my purpose and continue on building the products that I want to build that I think are really needed in the industry at this point. I felt like field service management has been done. There's some great companies, LMN being one of them. And the products that I think the industry needs right now more than anything are products that enable the field staff to work more efficiently and remove the flow interruptions that they deal with day to day, and really provide the information in real time that they need to work more autonomously. And with all of the advancements that we've seen in AI, I believe now is the time to build that product. And I've built that product before and used that product before in my own landscape company in a very rudimentary way. And we're ready to build that right now and launch that in the industry over the coming year.
What will AI allow you to do differently?
Predict the needs of the project. So when I would do a design build project, what I would do is I had a value engineering team, and so we would estimate the project, build a very detailed estimate, which is why I built LMN. And so the estimating software that is LMN today is my old templates that I developed to bid. Those templates break down the project in a way where you have labor, material, equipment, subcontractors, and that dictates the needs of the project. Now with AI, you can take those needs and overlay that with automated takeoff software, and then create a step-by-step process to do the project. We used to actually do that manually. We would build, let's say, step 1 to 250 to build $1 million backyard. And I could build those backyards in 6 weeks when most people would take 16 weeks. And so just simply automating the workflow using a set of drawings that we would create with my engineering team, we would engineer so the team would just flip a page. And each time they finished a page, they'd flip to the next and they knew what to build. This software is going to do that on its own.
And how long will it take you guys to ultimately get something like that to market?
Not very long.
Okay. So we should see this soon, I hope.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm guessing you have the feeling this is going to be far bigger and have much more dramatic impact on the industry than kind of the antiquated systems, LMN being one of them.
Yeah, I believe that the world has changed over the past few years, and we've been talking about AI for 10 years, and I think we were all patiently waiting for it to become a reality. But today, I think the way that we code, the way that we enable software to operate and the machine learning tools that we have today that are actually in the hands of the development teams are very much real and very capable. And I think what we can build and what we can develop and the pace that we can build and develop and the cost in which we can build and develop is changed exponentially. And I know what the needs of the industry are because I'm very connected with the 3,300 companies that trust my product today. And I know exactly what they need because I spend 100 days a year in the room with my customers, teaching them how to run their businesses and listening to what their biggest problems are. And I know that their biggest problem is efficiency. Right now, the industry is operating at around 60% of the potential that they could be in terms of billed hours versus unbilled hours, mainly just due to flow interruptions that exist in the common types of waste, waiting on information, logistical problems, shortage of awareness in terms of what step is coming next. And oftentimes, all that waiting is just slowing down the project to the point where a lot of the opportunity for profit and higher wages are really taken up with all of these flow interruptions. And in my business, I was able to eliminate all of those with the systems that I mentioned earlier, which were very much people-driven. But once I created the workflow tools that I created just in a very rudimentary web app, we were able to actually run 300 employees with one operations manager. Mm-hmm. And so that's really what ends up happening is we have a very small management team and a really enabled workforce, and all of those day-to-day interruptions around labor, material, equipment, subcontractors, information are really gathered and served up in one platform in a way where employees don't have to make a lot of decisions. The decisions are made for them. And that's really what we're building.
I want to talk a little bit about the Mastermind that you mentioned and how this will be tied into it. So what's the thesis there?
Yeah, so the Mastermind program is very much an educational program. So with the Mastermind program, when people sign up for the LeanScaper Mastermind, what they get is a turnkey management operating system. So picture every system, every process that you would ever develop in a business already built for you. So if you were out buying a turnkey business, and you would expect when you walk into that business that if you went to hire somebody, there would be a job ad and a pre-canned job description, and there'd be a pre-canned set of KPIs and metrics, and there would be a balanced scorecard for that individual and an onboarding plan. You would expect that that's all in place if you were buying that business. And really, that's where all of the value is when you are out buying businesses. Well, what I'm doing is taking the turnkey management operating system that I developed to build my $50 million company, and I'm plugging that into the Mastermind system. So you buy into the Mastermind program, it's an annual fee, and you get a turnkey management system for whatever size company you're running. So the system is set based on up to $500,000 businesses, 500,000 to 3 million, 3 million to 10, 10 to 30, 30 to 100, because you need a different system at each size. And so you get all of the forms and documents and systems and workflows and spreadsheets that you would need to operate the business that way. But more importantly, we also give the training to develop salespeople, operations people, sales leaders, operations leaders, and we build the leadership team around this system. So landscapers typically talk about building systems, but they're too busy to get around to building them. Yeah. And this is a turnkey management operating system that we call a Mastermind program because we work the education and the tools into the program. And then we're going to power that with the software that I'm describing.
So it's effectively integrated in a certain way with the software.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And this operating system, so to speak, that you'll be helping folks implement, this is something that you designed, or you and your team designed, while you were building your landscape business.
Absolutely. That was how it was developed, and it was out of a need. So every position, every system that you would need to run labor, material, equipment, or subcontractors efficiently, along with a goal setting system that really allows the owner to create a balanced scorecard approach, a lean company, and then all of the lean tools that allow you to really deploy a lean methodology in your company and use those principles to drive continuous improvement deep into the organization and build a continuous improvement culture so that each employee is truly aware of what success looks like. And that allows the owners to actually align with the employees in a very different way because they get the opportunity to earn, and they earn in a similar way. And I believe that landscapers that are paid by the hour and only paid by the hour are not really aligned with an owner, because when the project takes longer, the employees make more. And when the project goes faster, the owner makes more. What I really developed was a system where we don't want to rush anything. We want to make sure everybody understands what good looks like and how to succeed. And we want to focus on safety, quality, and efficiency at all times. But we want to motivate our employees to get projects done on time, and we want to unlock opportunity for them to earn more in the process. And so that is really what this system allows a company to do, using the lean methodologies that many Fortune 500 companies like Toyota, for example, have used. So at Toyota, it would be called the Toyota Production System. In my landscape company, it was called the Landscape Production System. And so this is just a way of thinking, and it's a lean way of thinking, and there's a set of tools that you use to drive that continuous improvement deep into the organization. And that's really what the system is built around, is the lean methodology.
Is the Japanese word is Kaizen? Is
Kaizen,
that
yeah.
So did you spend, back when you were building the landscape business, did you spend a lot of time studying this?
Absolutely. I would spend about a fifth of my time, 20% of my time each week, building systems. And I would focus every week on building systems that were causing the biggest flow interruptions. And so as my journey evolved, the systems evolved. And so when I went from 3 to 10 million, there was a very distinct set of problems that I had to overcome. Many of which being my own leadership skills, as you can imagine, because I think this is where many landscapers really suffer, just like I did. You really don't realize that you reach the limit of your true potential as a leader, and in turn, your business is just nothing more than a reflection of you. And so when that business stalls, it's because your leadership skills have stalled. And so I really started to spend about 20% of my time building systems and about 20% of my time trying to learn how to evolve as a leader and be the leader that would be needed in the future, and really becoming a leader of leaders. Because to get past 10 million in the landscape company, you really truly do need to become a leader of leaders. And so I think over the years, my time really shifted. And once I got past 10 million, I was really at that point just leading the leaders and really driving strategy and building partnerships.
There's thousands of $1 and $2 million businesses out there. Most owners and managers never sit down and think we need to develop our leadership skills. We need to think about building systems and processes. What was it for you? I mean, how did you originally start to do this sort of stuff? I mean, you're building a landscape business. You didn't know anything about landscaping. So when did you really start to focus on building those processes?
I think really quickly, because I hit $1 million in sales in the first year, I felt all of the flow interruptions, and I really felt the limitations of not only my leadership, but also my business knowledge. And so early in my career, I just really had to seek mentorship. I started to go to night school 4 days a week. I started every customer I worked for, I would ask them for advice on whatever problem I was facing. And I just never stopped looking for mentors. And the way that I've always kind of decided where I should learn, it was really where I was feeling the most resistance or the most pain. So wherever I was finding my limit, I could see that the reflection of myself was the problem. And so I worked on myself more than I worked on the business. And I've tried to do that ever since. Anytime there's a problem in the business, it's a direct reflection of my leadership and my ability to see the problem. So I seek mentors. I find somebody who has done what I am attempting to do, and I learn from them.
So what sort of mentors did you find in the early years? Obviously, you're talking to your clients, but is there anyone in particular you could talk about that was particularly helpful?
Yeah, I mean, there was unlimited, really. I would always have 5 or 6 mentors at a time, and I still do to this day. At this point, I spend at least $1 million a year on personal development. I have coaches for just about everything. That is how I continue to grow, and that is how my businesses have continued to succeed. And so I've just never stopped. Early in my career, it was Charles Vanderkoy. He was an industry guru back in the day. He's passed away, unfortunately, but he taught me how to budget and estimate. Then I moved on to learning more about financial management. And so it was the accountant that I hired. I said to the accountant, hey, listen, I'm going to hire you to be my accountant, and I don't care what it costs, but I want to know everything that you know. And so over the years, the best part about growing a business is you get to hire your mentors. And so I also started hiring people to work in my companies who were specialists in each area, and they became my mentors. And so the bigger my businesses have become, the better my mentors are. And so my executive team today, I could say, would be my team of mentors because they know far more about each area in their business than I do. I set the strategy, they help me figure out how to make it happen. But mentorship for me has just been one of those things that never ends. And so 5 or 6 people at a time are always helping me solve my 5 or 6 biggest problems. And I don't like to try to solve more than 5 things at a time, typically. The 6th is usually the next thing. I'm usually working on 3 to 5 things, which means I'm seeking mentorship from 3 to 5 people who have solved those problems clearly in the past.
So now in 2024, what sort of problems are you trying to solve that you've sought coaches or mentorship for?
Personal coach is always helping me with being more self-aware. Sometimes you don't see your own gaps. So that might be an hour a month. It's a conversation around my personal goals, and I believe that personal goals really set the tone for your life. My personal goals are pretty simple. First, it's to optimize my mind and my body so that my life force is strong. Second, optimize my love life. Third, optimize my relationships with my children, with my family, with my friends, my coworkers, the community that I serve. And fourth, optimize myself as a leader. And my coaches help me see what I should be doing, what key results I should be working on in each of those 4 areas. And I kind of reset those each quarter, and I'm just constantly trying to improve in those areas. And having a coach to keep you accountable and help you understand what those gaps truly are, somebody who really is going to tell you the truth, because I think we all tell ourselves stories. It is a great way to guide that side of the business. When it comes to, or that side of my life, sorry. Yep. Then when it comes to business, I set goals as well. And so if I have goals in my business, which are typically grow revenue, grow brand, grow people, make sure that I have the best customer service possible, and make sure that we're doing it all efficiently in those 5 buckets, I need to seek mentors to help me do that in the business. And so, as I said, that could be people on my executive team, and it could be people within the company. It doesn't have to be all C-levels. Yep. Or it could be consultants or experts or advisors. And so I sit in 2 masterminds, a marketing mastermind and a SaaS mastermind, where I learn about marketing in SaaS, because there's always more to learn and it's ever changing. And then when I want to build products that are beyond me, I want to build AI-driven products that the world has never seen before, I have to seek mentors who understand that. And so I have the vision, but I need to find people who can advise me and mentor me so that I can actually make that vision a reality for the industry that I serve.
You know, you've got a lot of experience, obviously, in software over the last couple of decades. Do you find it particularly challenging now with the AI bent to get your arms around what's possible 6 months from now, a year from now, right?
So I like to just begin with the end in mind. And this kind of drives people crazy by times, but I don't really consider what is possible. I just begin with end in mind, and I explain what that looks like very clearly. I have very clear vision. I'm able to focus very well. I've been mentored on how to do that. When I explain my vision clear enough, other people figure out how to make it happen. I don't understand artificial intelligence. I just understand what I want it to do. Other people figure out how to make it happen, and I trust in that process.
I guess in closing today, it sounds like you're a pretty purposeful guy, right? What is your purpose?
I believe that when we set purpose in our lives, oftentimes people overcomplicate it. And I think sometimes people chase purpose far too much. Mine is very simple. I just want to help others avoid the pain and struggles that I endured in my life. And the pain and struggle that I endured most was trying to learn how to run a business, trying to scale a business in the landscape industry. I was very driven, and I shared my goals. My goals were not always in that order. In the early years, my goals were to grow the business, and I somehow forgot about myself. I was 120 pounds overweight. I ruined a marriage. I didn't spend enough time with my kids, but I had a lot of money. But I wasn't happy. That realization was a hard thing to come about and to change. And so my purpose today is to make people's lives better. And what I do is I build products that allow them to avoid all of the pain and struggles that I endured. And I want to make it easier for them. And I don't want to do that just for the business owners. I want to do that for their employees. In this industry, there's millions of employees who are underpaid. And I believe that the middle class is falling apart very quickly in this country. And I think that when we eliminate waste using technology, there's more. There's more for everybody. There's more for the business owner. There's more for the employees. And ultimately, I'm very forward about this with my customers. I don't do what I do for them, and I don't really even do it for their employees. I do it for their children, because their children deserve the same life that my children deserve. And I truly believe that if we make this industry more efficient and business owners more educated, and we give them turnkey tools so that their businesses can operate properly, they can eliminate the waste, earn higher profits, pay higher wages, and really treat their employees the way that they truly want to treat them. Because what I've seen in this industry is an unbelievably beautiful group of people who truly love the people that work for them, and they want to provide more, but they don't have the skills and the know-how to make it happen. And that's a really painful thing to live with as a leader. And leadership becomes incredibly lonely.
Yeah.
And the tools that I aim to build remove that. They help people align, and they help people create more for everybody who's at the table. And I just really want to help others avoid the pain and the struggles that I endured in that process. And that's why I do what I do.
Well, for folks that want to get involved in that and join your mastermind, how do they do it?
They can just come to the website, LeanScaper.com. Sign up. It's free for individuals, for companies, for vendors, suppliers, software companies. Anybody in the industry can join. We're going to build a huge community, and we're going to change this industry through the community, the mastermind programs, and the software that we're building that's going to enable field workers to work autonomously and really have the careers that they really wished for.
That's awesome. Well, you're a driving force in the space, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.